Hello and welcome to the C.E.S. Connect podcast with myself, your host, Stacy Cronk. I am most excited today to invite our guest, Mr. Christopher LaBelle, our Associate Executive Director here at C.E.S. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you, Stacy. I'm incredibly excited to spend this time with you and have a great interview.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, Chris, I don't know if you're privy to how this sort of thing goes, but there are certain questions that I will be asking you today. Some are more serious, and then some are a little more personal, and then hopefully some are a little fun. So please feel free to answer to the best of your ability. And of course, we are always excited to have anything additional that you want to add at any point.
Sounds great.
We are very happy to have our audience of families and staff and stakeholders with us. So let's get going.
I'm ready.
Okay. Well, again, I'm going to go back and say welcome everyone to the CES Connect podcast, where we will reach through the air by navigating agility, maximizing impact, and embracing relevance. Today we have Chris LaBelle, our Associate Executive Director of C.E.S. And the first area of topics is all about Chris. So, first question, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself, Chris?
I'd be happy to. So when I think about myself, I always think family first. So I'm a husband. I'm a father. I have two lovely children, and have a couple cats at home.
Cats are great.
I love my cats. Beyond that, I'm an Army veteran, so I'm proud that I served 6 years.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Stacy. I also love Disney, as you know, and I can't help but notice there are some Disney It's a Small World ears in front of me or alongside. So I'm a big Disney fan, always have been. We tend to vacation down there. Very few people, those are things people know about me. Very few people know I love murder mysteries. You're one of the few that knows that. So
As do I.
Yes, I'm a huge Agatha Christie fan. So, and then lastly, I'm an outdoor person. I love to kayak. I love to hike. I love to whitewater raft. Anything outdoors, I'm in.
Excellent. Okay, so what is your favorite memory? And by favorite, maybe the one that you return to the most and have those warmest thoughts about.
I would say that it's interesting. I love to cook, and one of my favorite memories is making lasagna with both my mom and dad. So many Sunday mornings growing up, we'd be in the kitchen. We'd all work together. We all had our different roles. It was a lot of fun, and it's my favorite food. So we would make a lasagna and loved those days. And one of the unique things for us is we used to roll little baby meatballs, and I distinctly remember doing that with my dad.
Do you still do that with your children?
I do.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
All right, and of course I have to ask, sauce or gravy?
Sauce, although, yeah, sauce.
Okay, all right. Well, moving on, what is your coolest celebrity encounter?
Wow, interesting. Coolest celebrity encounter. It actually happened 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
In my daughter's homecoming at Union College. Her closest friend's father, this massive man, in conversation, looked at me and said, "Did you know I was a boxer? And did you know that I beat Mike Tyson?"
Wow.
And sure enough, he was telling the truth. He was a professional fighter. He was an Irish Olympian. His name's Kevin McBride, and he defeated Mike Tyson in Mike Tyson's very final fight.
Congratulations to him. I'm so glad that you guys met, and I hope he watches this podcast as well. Wonderful. Okay, and then can you tell me about the 3 most influential people in your life and how they've impacted you?
Okay. The first is really simple. That's my dad. For those that would not know, my dad, he was homeless as a child, not really educated, didn't even finish high school, fought in World War II, became a foster child. He reunited his family and then raised a wonderful family of his own, where my brother and I are both first generation educated. So I always tell people my dad's my role model. I'm going to stick on the same theme. I'm going to say that my kids are the next. I have one child, as you know, with a disability. So for him, I've learned so much about how anyone can achieve. He's
Mm-hmm.
currently a junior in college, excelling.
Mm-hmm.
Many people years ago never thought that was possible. I've learned so much in that sense. And my daughter thinks I have a disability, so she has taught me other things, and
Mm-hmm.
so those two I'm going to combine as one. And then lastly, my wife probably would be the next one, because my wife stayed home for 17 years, raising our kids, and taught me the importance of family.
Thank you, Margaret. That is wonderful. And I didn't know, for what I would like to segue, that I think Chris and I know each other pretty well, but I didn't know all of that really interesting stuff about your dad.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you sharing that. I
Yeah.
have nothing but the utmost respect for him. So thanks,
Thank
Chris.
you.
All right. I just have to, after that, though, ask your favorite college hockey team.
Oh. This year it would be the Union Garnet Hawks, because I am now father of a daughter going to Union College. So
Excellent.
uh,
All right.
yeah,
How are they doing?
they're 1-0. They beat West Point.
All right, that sounds now terrific. We have to move
Yep.
on to our more serious section.
You got it.
Okay, so as our associate executive director here at CES, what is one common myth about your position?
I think what I hear the most is that I oversee human resources. So I do. That is very true, but I do a whole lot more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So folks don't recognize my role in terms of evaluating administrators, in terms of overseeing some of the school programs and supporting the school programs. So I think that's the greatest myth. People see me and they think HR,
Mm-hmm.
but it's certainly much broader. That's just part of what I do.
Excellent. What are your thoughts on the teacher shortage and retentions of educators?
Well, if I could, I'd get a van and fill it and bring them all to C.E.S.,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not possible. Teacher shortage is a reality. Any of the research you look at, any of the articles, over the last, say, 10, 20 years, teaching has become less desirable for young folks going into careers. Some will argue that salaries haven't kept up with other professions out there, so fewer students are going in to become teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Some would say that the stress and the lack of respect for educators impacts their desire to go into the field. So it's real. It's very real, and it's very hard, especially in a place like Connecticut, to recruit for shortage areas, because there are two Connecticut's. You have some districts that pay very well,
Yes,
and other districts that pay average.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard when there's very few candidates for districts that aren't at the top scale to recruit those folks. You have to sell other reasons to work here.
Yes. And I also think, just as someone who taught here for the first 22 years of her career, if you love teaching, then you are passionate, and the emotional vulnerability that you put out every single day is really, really depleting. And so I just want to say with that, kudos to all of you teachers and everyone who is an educator in whatever right. We couldn't do anything without you, and we truly are stronger together. So thank you so much.
And just to piggyback on that, I tell people all the time, the greatest decision in my life was to become a teacher.
I agree.
I've never looked back. It's been the best 28 years of my life.
I actually miss being in the classroom greatly, and I think lots of people know that. But sometimes we're led to other things. And so tell us how you put the human in human resources.
So I think that's a critical piece, right? People, at the end of the day, this profession, like most, is about relationships. Mm-hmm. So, I like to view every decision I have to make through the lens of what would I want for my own children if they were in this situation. So I think it's really important to understand that at the end of the day, we are interacting with humans. We are building positive relationships, whether it be with students, adults. And if you lose sight of that, you really start to lose sight of what's most important in what we do. So that's kind of what I mean by that. I think it's really important that we recognize people for who they are, support them where they are, and appreciate who they are and what they're trying to do.
I agree, because there's no way we could do the work we want to do by ourselves. We all need to rely on each other. So I commend you with your thoughts on that. I agree. Moving on to, what are your thoughts on instructional core?
So what I mean by instructional core is if you think about a framework for education, Stacy, at the very center of that framework is the students. That's really what a school district is all about. We want to create environments that foster student achievement. We want children to do better. So often what you might experience is that a lot of the support roles, we talked about how one area I lead is human resources. It's very easy for a human resources department to lose sight of that because we're not on a daily basis interacting with students. In many cases, I do in my role, but in many cases. So I think you can't lose sight of that. I think it's really important that you understand that every action you take should be to help those folks that are directly providing support to our students, no matter what district you're in. And it was a very small example of how I do that. Very tiny example would be that if you had a reason you needed to meet with me, we have two ways we can do that. I could say to you, come on over here to central office and meet with me. We'll come into my office and we'll have a great conversation. Or I can get up and come to you so you don't have to leave the students, leave the teachers, or leave anybody in your program. I choose to do that because I have more flexibility, and it's more important for you to be where you are delivering the services you are leading than it is for me over here. So that's one.
And I thank you because it's more meaningful as well. You are such a presence and such a positive presence in our program that I know that the children feel as comfortable with you as they do with me. And that's important, that they should know that they have connections just beyond the classroom. Ideally, we want our kids to be able to trust and succeed. So thank you for making that extra effort.
I appreciate that.
Last bigums, communicating with the teachers union. How do you feel about that? I'm slightly biased. I used to be the president, but I'm going to pass it over to Chris.
I actually have had nothing but positive experiences working with, in multiple districts, working with the associations. And the reason is it goes back to what I started with. If we all just recognize that we're all adults, we all want to be respected, and we all can come to reasonable conclusions through open, honest, transparent dialogue, I find it difficult not to have a good relationship. So one of the things that I try to do regularly is anticipate what are areas that I want to communicate in advance with the association so that we can ask those questions, have those conversations, and be on the same page.
And I think that we all recognize that sometimes you can just agree to disagree.
Sometimes we
and
do.
difficult conversations have to happen. But if we didn't have difficult conversations, then we wouldn't know how to appreciate really wonderful ones like we're having today.
And it's easier to agree to disagree when you have a great relationship and you trust each other.
So, Chris, speaking of trust, it sounds like you have it all covered. And I bet a hat or headpiece could only make it better. So it's that part of the segment. Which of these three things that I brought today are speaking most to you, and then why?
Okay, so many of these speak to me. As I noticed, there's some Miss Marple things and Disney. Stacy, well chosen for me. But in fact, I brought my own hat.
Did you?
Because I heard that you are such a tough interviewer. I wanted to have my own hat with me, so I brought a hard hat for today.
I hope it wasn't that hard, Chris.
It proved helpful to have it. I'll put it right here. But out of these, I would pick the Disney.
All right. Well,
out of my choices.
I love the hard hat, and I love your enthusiasm. And yes, although it is quite sparkly, it is a unique piece as it represents It's a Small World, which happens to be my favorite particular Disney ride as well. Chris and I have many likes in common, so Disney is another one of mine. Okay, almost done. Rapid fire. This is the last segment, okay? So rapid fire, you're going to give the first answer that comes into your mind. Okay, ready?
I'm going to try.
You can be transformed into one animal. Which one would you choose?
Bald eagle. It's majestic. It can see from above. And being a veteran, I'm always attached to the bald eagle.
Excellent. What's the last TV show you watched?
Wow. I don't watch a lot of TV, Stacy, so that's a tough one. I would say, I'm going to date myself, probably Poirot.
Okay.
I've been rewatching Poirot episodes over the last 3 weeks after seeing the Haunting in Venice in the theaters. So I'm going to say that.
All right, excellent. That's going to take us to another question in a minute. But before then, who is your favorite Disney character? And I don't know that I know this.
It depends on the moment, but if
Okay.
you're going to ask me, I'm going to say Oswald, the Lucky
Oh,
Rabbit. And I'm going to say
okay.
Oswald because Oswald started it all.
Mm-hmm.
So that was Walt Disney's original character. He lost it through a licensing agreement to Universal. And for those of you, and I'm sure you know, Disney just recently acquired the rights to Oswald back. So definitely Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. So I've always had a connection there.
Excellent. Finish the phrase CES is my.
I would say C.E.S. is my place that I would go for capacity building. So I like to think that I've been here 19 years, and I think I've learned a ton over those 19 years. And that's probably what I'm most proud of is our ability to help others and build capacity.
Last one. I can't resist. Poirot or Marple?
Oh, Poirot. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry to disappoint. Yeah,
It's all right.
Poirot.
Mon ami. It's okay. All right. Thank you, Chris. Thanks so much for a wonderful time today. And friends, I invite you to stay tuned for our next segment where I will be interviewing Dr. Michael McGrath, the Director of Special Education here at CES. Thanks so much and take care. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Stacy.